Hey everyone, welcome to Expat Livin, your go-to channel for making your dreams of living abroad a reality. I'm Danielle Py-Salas and I'm the founder of Expat Livin. I'm a wife, a mother of four, an attorney, an entrepreneur, and 4 years ago, I moved my family abroad. Of course, making that change turned our world totally upside down, but it gave us opportunities and a completely new perspective on life. That's why I started Expat Livin, because I wanted to help people like you. I wanted to share my experience to help you get from where you are to where you want to be. So today we're diving into one of the most crucial steps in planning your big move, and that's creating a budget. And trust me, this is one step that you're not gonna wanna skip. I know people don't like to talk about money, but moving can be stressful. And moving abroad can be thrilling for sure, but without a proper budget, it can quickly turn stressful. So let's walk you through the key budgeting categories that you're gonna need to analyze to ensure that you have a smooth transition to your new life overseas. Step one is to research the cost of living. We need to be practical, friends. First things first, research the cost of living in your new home country. So consider housing, food, transportation, healthcare, entertainment. There are websites out there like Numbeo or Expat, which can be super helpful. Knowing these costs up front will help you avoid surprises down the road. So for us, we had visited the country before we moved, so we had a basic idea of what the living cost would be, like food, entertainment, and spending, but we had no idea what the cost of utilities or housing. And we did quite a bit of research in our home country before we started the process. We looked at different cities and areas. We found living in the big city would cost more, but they would also offer more opportunities for our situation. However, my in-laws, who also moved abroad for a year, they opted for a smaller town and they wanted to live by the sea, which had lower rents and was more moderate and more affordable. But again, they didn't have to worry about schools, entertainment. Their needs were quite different than ours. So each person is going to have their own specific needs. So I want you to check out my other videos that talk about priorities and how we prioritize those things. Step number two is moving costs. So let's talk about the actual move, including the cost of flights, shipping your belongings, storage fees, if you plan to keep items behind. Don't underestimate these fees. Get several quotes and always budget a little extra for unexpected costs. In our case, we were lucky to have been able to rent our house fully furnished. But in hindsight, had I known what I know now, that we were gonna make this permanent move, I would have probably sold some of the things up front. I would have shipped the important things at the outset of our journey and got rid of everything else and sold everything before we moved. Again, each person's situation is gonna be a little different. Step three is the settling in expenses. This might include rental costs, your deposit, furniture, utility setup, local services, initial groceries. A helpful tip is always to add 10% buffer to your anticipated costs to give yourself a little breathing room. Some things that surprised us were that some rental units didn't come with lighting fixtures or appliances. So when you see these beautiful pictures online and it has a big new refrigerator in the kitchen, don't be surprised that when you show up and there's no refrigerator. We actually had to buy a lot of additional things like plates, silverware, cups, even for a fully furnished unit, because we're a bigger family. And you know, in the area that we were in a small resort town. Most people eat outside of the home. They go out to dinner. So kitchens are very small and basic. And we tend to eat a lot at home and we cook a lot at home because we have a big family. So be sure to set aside extra money for these unknowns. Step number four, documentation and legal fees. Also crucial, budget for your legal fees, visa applications, passport renewals, and potential translations of official documents. These fees can sneak up on you, so plan ahead to keep everything stress-free. In our case, most of our visa fees did happen up front. For example, the cost of the visa itself, it wasn't very expensive, but when you have to order original documents like birth certificates, marriage certificates, background checks, fingerprints, all these, and most of these documents need to be translated into the language of the country that you're moving to, these extra costs can add up. Step number five is emergency fund. So speaking of stress-free, don't forget about an emergency fund. Ideally, you'd want to have enough money to cover at least 3 months of your living expenses And trust me, your future self will thank you for this. For us, we were excited to be living abroad, so we traveled a lot in our first year. We went through a lot of our savings by taking these little small impromptu excursions that we didn't previously plan for. So all the money was worth it, but it's something that we should have budgeted for before we moved. And so be sure to think of these experiences as well. So let's quickly break down an example budget together. Moving costs, that could be around $2,000, but it depends on your size family. For us, a family of 6, that cost from the United States was more like $5,000. Initial settling in costs, again, this is going to depend on where you go, how big of a family you are if you're a single person, and how luxurious your place is. Legal fees, for us, it was about $1,500, but it depends. It could be $500 if you're a single person. It could be more. And then the emergency fees. You want to make sure you cover at least 3 months of your overall fees to keep that as an aside for emergency use. Okay, now for some quick bonus tips. One tip is don't forget about currency exchange fees and rates. These will depend on where you're moving to and which country you're moving from. Also, check out expat forums, social media sites, or other membership sites like at expatlivin.com. They often share invaluable budgeting information. All right, well, that's enough for today. Remember, budgeting does not restrict your adventure, but it is going to empower you to enjoy it fully. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell below to join our Expat Livin community. And let me know in the comment section what budget tips that you've discovered on your own expat journey. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep planning, and soon you'll be living the expat life that you've always wanted. Bye, everybody. Happy travels.